Okay, the fuselage was a little bit complex. Okay, let's try to do things that are a little bit simpler for this session. And for this session, we're going to attack the wings. So, um, of course, the wings, that means that you need to have the shape of the wings here. Then you need to have, I would say, the front of the view in order the final front view in order to have, for example, here, what are the elevations on the width of those wings, of course. And if you can, it would be a little bit better if you have a profile. It turns out that one of that profile has a profile here at the level of the cut F here, but that's okay. So we are going to use that. So first of all, we are going to build the shape of the wings. First, a little comment here. As you can see here, I have my original plan here. And you see that the original plan and the plan of the Fanat de l'Aviation are not completely exactly the same. But because there is a consistency in this plan between the width and the length and everything like that, I'm using this one. So first thing first, you need to go for the shape. So I will not dive into the detail of that. You just have to understand that basically we are using the straight line as much as we can here, and the degrees, because usually in the specification you can find degrees of the wings in a way. And then after that, what I'm using is that I'm using splines, but very simple splines with only one control nut. And in fact, I make this control nut tangent or collinear with respect to the first line, and then here, for example, it's the top. So I need two of those curves here because I always want to make sure that this I'm controlling the point which is the furthest in a way. And in fact, that's even truer here because I need to make sure that I'm I would say completely in line with the wingspan that I've defined in my global sheet. This is a little bit of a detail here in a way, but that gives you a little bit the shape. Now, once I've done that, a little bit like I'm using the YZ skeleton, in fact, I'm using that as the basis of the different, I would say, cuts that I will use again in my wing. So first of all, I'm using this the virtual space. So if I click on here, you will see that I've kept all the constraints about my different cuts here. Usually, you need 4 cuts in order to do a kind of round shape like that using a loft. So that's exactly what I've done here. And of course, all of that is completely named. So this is x2, this is the y2, and this is the length 2, for example. Okay, and that's the same thing here for the L3, X3, and so on. Good news is that when I'm doing that, I can even have a very, very small end cut here, which is defined through 0.5 millimeter. And of course, that's the L5, and that's I have the same thing here, which is the Y5, and of course the L5. And all that is always obtained by having a kind of line that I'm taking somewhere, okay, aligning it vertically, and then adjusting, the different things. And then after that, everything is in fact, let's say, constraints that I can name that are reference constraints. So I'm using that, okay? Now, of course, the same way for the skeletons, I've built the XZ shape. So the XZ shape is the same thing. That's a little bit like that. Always associated, remember, with the last point here, which is really the one in accordance. And of course here, the real thing is that I want to have two things here. I want to have the bottom point. So here, that's the Z bottom point of the pointer 2, and that's the height of the point 2. Okay, so I need all that. The same thing for the point 3 and the point 4 and so on. And of course that will allow me to tune a profile exactly the same way that I've done for cuts. So in fact, how do I do that? Well, that's very easy. In fact, in my project template, I have a wing profile template, okay, which is a little bit declared here. And I will do exactly the same thing that I've done before. I will copy it, paste it. It's going to be the back wing profile, and it's not a template anymore. The back wing profile is K. Now I will begin to basically edit it in order to bring it closer to that. So here, that's 0 here. I will take the start Y is a reference. The Z bottom is a reference. And now, of course, I can take any point of that shape and bring it close to where I want. Okay. So am I good here? I'm not really good here. It's roughly the same thing here, like I will say here. So my Z bottom will be. I will adjust first. I would say the the starting point here. So my starting point should be around here. Okay. So that's 92,755 here, for example. And now, am I good for my Z bottom? Not really. So I will say that my local H here is a reference yet. And now I will begin to play with that. Okay. And so that's 59, I would say. 05, why not? And now I will play with my reference here, and I will say that this is 310. Am I good for that? No, because this is the Z button, the Z of the bottom, so it's a little bit higher, so something like 50, for example, and that allows me to completely position my profile here with respect to that. Okay, can do 5 here. That should be a little bit better. And I think I'm pretty good now. Is there any kind of things here? No. So is the length good? Well, I do not care too much about the length, to tell you the truth. Because anyway, that's going to be adapted, but that's good to have a consistency with the shape that I want. And in fact, then after that, you can play with that shape a little bit. The same thing here, like you change a little bit the different proportions here that you have with respect to, I would say, the bottom lower point, okay, the top highest point, okay, and then after that you are playing a little bit with different things. So these are the points that are the most important in order to tune the shape. And then of course at the end of the day you always have the different points here that you can play with, and it turns out that this shape is pretty good here, so I do not have anything to change. Except perhaps, so again I'm going back to my origin plane. I think it's a little bit too high here, so my guess is that I could have different things. It's a generic figure, so here if there is an incidence, for example, you can play with it. So here, for example, we've seen that in the shape that there is no incidence really, so everything seems to be horizontal in terms of shapes. So that means that I will stop here. And of course, now that I have that, okay, which is the overall shape, and that's my profile, I will say Control C to copy it. Control V, and I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need 4 points of that. And now let's have the magic coming. So the magic is that I have the back wing XY shape, and now I can begin to change a little bit uh, the main placement and everything like that with this skeleton. So here, for example, the X, that's the X1 here. So it's the back wing XY shape constraints, and I want the X1. Okay, I will show it here. Okay, so I have my X now. And now I will begin to play with the different positions and everything like that. So the start Y is given again by the XY by the back wing XY. So I will take that. Okay, Control C. Okay, and I will say that this is in fact the Y1. Okay, now it should be positioned a little bit better. The local L, it's basic shape again, L1. The bottom C is not in the same, it's in the XZ. And it's the Z bottom 1. And the local H, it's the H1. And all of a sudden, you have the first profile here that is completely in line with the profile of your wing here. So I will do all the other ones the same way, and I will come back to you. So all my profile have been determined, even the profile 5, which is a very, very, very small profile, as you can imagine. So everything is in micron and everything like that. Uh, a little stuff here, which is the fact that you can see here that this end here is using a kind of minimum here in order to make sure that it's always pretty good and pretty consistent. As you can see, that's a little bit too wide here, but I mean, we are in such a micron type of things that it's not really a problem. And what does that mean? That means that that's it. We have it, you know. So now, for example, if we take a loft from the back wing profile 1 and whatever, we have a first loft here, which is our first wing. And then if we want to create our wing tip, it's going to be from the 2 to the 3, 4, 5. Okay. And that's as as fast as you can, I think, creating your two back wings here. Even taking into account the fact that this is a pretty, I would say, difficult type of things. So I think that I've made a mistake. So you can see here very soon that did I do something like the Z bottom 5 doesn't seem to be that good. So I will have to check about that Z bottom 5 in the back wing X, Y, X, Z shape, for example. Yeah, all my reference profiles are above the x-axis. So in fact, when I'm looking at the bottom Z here, I have to change that with a minus because that's below the x-axis. So that means that yes, the bottom Z here are all wrong. So it should be less here, minus, and then of course, that means that that will change a little bit the things. Okay, and now if I'm looking at my loft, it's in the correct place with the correct positioning of the endpoint. And so besides that little point about the Z axis and position with respect to the origin, well, you can see that it's fairly easy. In fact, for the front wing, I have exactly the same thing here. So I have the shape and I have the X, also the width. So I have to change a little bit because I was using the other 3D view. But once corrected, I will do exactly the same, and I will come back to you after that. The previous way of defining wings like that was to use a specific add-on, which is the curved shape, okay, in which you were able to define, let's say, your profile, your XY shape, and your XZ shape, which is exactly what I'm going to do here. I will take the wing profile, the XY, the XZ, and then I say that I want to create a curved array. And that curved array is created here. It has it has 4 items, but you can change that, for example, to say 10 items, and you are seeing already the items here. And then also you can say that you want it to be solid, for example, and that gives you this kind of shape. The problem is that at the end you are not controlling exactly what is happening here, as you can see, because yeah, it's not really, I would say, very efficient. And you can see here that there is a lot of wrinkles here, for example, because here it has kept a kind of proportion about the trailing edge. And the problem with those wrinkles is that when you want to, for example, carve out some structure line at the end, then you have a lot of trouble with that. So this is why I'm not using it anymore. So I've done exactly the same thing in order to create the front wing that you can see here with the main body here on the tip here with the same thing like 4 profiles associated with that. So as you can see here, it's really, I would say, very easy to do all those kind of things. So now if I'm looking at that, I have my front skin, my middle skin. Whoops, see a little mistake here. Middle skin, my rear skin, and my tail tip skin. Okay, my middle skin now. Okay, now I will begin in order to shape uh, those skins as close as possible to the thing that I will use in order to create my parts. And in fact, I've shown you a little bit how I'm doing that. I'm doing that using what I'm calling the tool bodies. So in my tool bodies here, I have, of course, the canopy profile, the fuselage front back profile. As you can see here, it's not really good, so I need certainly to increase that to 11, okay? I have my rudder profile. Okay. So I will use that together with, in a way, the wing tools tip, which is this thing. This thing, if you look at that, that's exactly the top, the place where I have, in a way, my Karman starting, in a way. So this is exactly looking at that line here, and that's exactly that line that will allow me to cut the wings in order to make sure that I have everything that I need. So I will do that, and especially also because if I'm looking at the font here, my fuselage front back, as you can see, it has the angle here that is important, of course, in order to understand things. So I've shown you how to use that for the rear, but in fact I will do it again in a way. So that means that I will start with the front skin, and the front skin I need to do uh, an intersection with the fuselage front back intersection. And now I have my good shape here, which is good here. Okay. Now I want to take my middle skin, and the middle skin is the same thing. I will take that with an intersection with exactly the same thing here, which is my front back profile. Where is it? It's over there. Okay, so I take my middle skin with my fuselage front back in, and I want to take also the intersection, and I have that. And now I want to take my rear skin, and I want to remove in my tool bodies the canopy, cut. From this cut I want to remove the rudder, cut. And from this cut I want to remove also the same thing here, the fuselage, cut. Okay, so it's not too bad. Now looking at my wings, okay, my wing, in the front wing I want to remove the wing tool, which is this thing here, so I will do a cut on that. That's my front wing. On my back wing I want to do exactly the same thing, so that means that I want to remove that and I want to do a cut. Okay, so I want to, and I forgot that I need also to have a little bit of cut here, so I will create that, and I will do it. So now it turns out also that I have done a little spinner, which is really this thing here, as a scene in that, and you can see here that there is an angle, so that means the spinner is going a little bit downwards, okay, and then you do simply a revolve with respect to this axis, and you have that. So now we begin to see a little bit all the pieces that we will use, and now we need to do some of the junctions together with the canopies, and that's the thing that I will try to show you a little bit after. So the easy thing to do first is certainly the canopies, so that's what I'm going to do next.